Alright, new category. The throwing, or toss type melee weapons. And the first one I'm going to review is the character's personal weapon, David's monkey wrenches. A monkey wrench of moderate size. You can't equip it, because the only way to use them is to use David's special action. So let's test the monkey wrenches out. Alright, so if you don't have infinity mode on, David does have a limited number of monkey wrenches. Although, I do believe it's a high enough quantity that you can make it through most of a level, and they're considerably powerful, as you will see when I test it here on a zombie. Ha! Alright, it took 3 monkey wrenches to defeat a zombie. One of those hits was critical, however, so it might have taken more if that critical didn't occur. And I should mention criticals. According to the FAQ that I'm providing for you, any character with any weapon at any given moment has a 5% chance of achieving a critical hit, which will obviously cause a little more damage than normal. Whatever. The point is, 3 monkey wrenches. Without that critical, it might have been 4 or 5. But once again, I'm providing an FAQ with all the damage rates. And in harder difficulties, it most likely would have taken more hits. So there you go. So like I said, the monkey wrench is a powerful weapon. And it instantly knocks a zombie down, as most throwing weapons would. So if not to kill a zombie with it, you could easily escape with only 1 wrench. Alright, so that is it for David's monkey wrenches. Alright, now for the next throwing weapon. The stick. A short wooden pole. Alright, so this weapon is a joke, pretty much. You can get it alone in the hive like I did here. It's the final stage. Oh my god. It's not a good level to be testing the stick on. But it was the only level it was available in its form. So the stick is the final stage of the scrub brush, which is right there actually. But yeah, once it's in this form, you can only use it 1 time as just a throwable stick. And I don't think it does any good damage, really. Alright, so let's test the stick out. Alright, so under normal circumstances, you would only be able to use this weapon 1 time. I'm only able to use it multiple times because I have infinity mode. So if you don't have that mode unlocked, you're only going to get this weapon after degenerating the scrub brush and the wooden pole. And once it's done that stage, you just throw it. Its only really good use is to knock a zombie back in order to allow you to escape. But just for kicks, I'm going to see how many sticks it's going to take to defeat a zombie from full health. I'm just gonna do that because that's the way I do my reviews. I thought about not doing it since realistically you wouldn't be using it to kill a zombie, but I'm just gonna do it to see how much it takes. I will speed up the video, of course, so enjoy. Jesus Christ. I took so many hits that I kind of lost count of how many. I think it was between 15 and 17 hits of the stick. So, no, you're not gonna have that many sticks in the entire game to defeat any one zombie. So, yeah, that was kind of a stupid thing to do, but I was just doing it for laughs. So, yeah, as you saw, it does immediately knock a zombie to the ground. So, it is useful in a sense. It is not good as an actual weapon, as none of the throwing weapons really are, because you only have like 1. The only exception was David's monkey wrenches, which are much more powerful than a freaking stick. Alright, that is it for the stick. With a stick. Alright, now for the next throwing weapon. The broken crutch. The bottom part of a crutch. Wow. Okay. Alright, so this weapon is one of the few that I can't really test on an enemy simply because there's nowhere in Outbreak File 1 anyway where the broken crutch is available already in that form. so I can't get an infinite version of it. The one you see now, I got simply because it is the degenerate state of a full crutch. I could only use this one time, but luckily, according to the weapon FAQ, it does the same exact amount of damage as a stick, so we already know how many it's probably going to take. And once again, it's a one-time use weapon, so you're not going to be using it as a killing weapon anyway, really. It's just good to knock a zombie down after you use the crutch to its last stage. Alright, so I'm going to just quickly test it out and then move on real quick. Alright, so just another degenerate stage of a bigger weapon that can only be used once, and it could easily knock a zombie down. Alright, that is it for the broken crutch. Alright, now for another degenerate throwing weapon. The bent iron pipe. A pipe made of iron. It is completely bent. Now this is the final stage of the regular iron pipe after the curved iron pipe. This being the final form, this is a throwing weapon, and awesomely enough, it actually does more damage than its previous stage, the curved iron pipe, even though the curved iron pipe is a swinging weapon. As you can see here, I'm not doing the infinity mode. I decided to just get 3 iron pipes and bend them completely, because I am confident that it will only take that amount or less to defeat a standard zombie, because these things are actually pretty powerful. Unfortunately, I'm going to use one of them right here uselessly because I just need to test it out real quick. Alright, this is also considerably a large weapon when it's bent like that, so it probably has a wider range than the stick or the broken crutch. Alright, so unfortunately, I tested the bent iron pipe, and it turns out that 3 is not enough to defeat a standard zombie. So I am incapable of reviewing this as well. So, I will do this. On the FAQ, I'm loving it a lot, it's helped me already throughout this review. The bent iron pipe does a total of 80 damage, and a zombie's vitality ranges between 600 and 850. So, if you do the math, it will take 8 to 10 bent iron pipes to kill a zombie. So that means there are not enough iron pipes in an entire level to defeat a zombie with full health. Back to that again, the throwing weapons are a last resort which you could use to knock your enemies down, and that won't necessarily kill them. 8 to 10 iron pipes, I guess, and like I said, the broken crutch is the same amount as the stick, so we already know how many it would take for that. So that is it for the bent iron pipe. Alright, now for yet another throwing weapon. The concrete piece. You can throw this to attack enemies. Are you serious? That could be the description for any of the throwing weapons. Jesus. Well, anyway, in Outbreak 1, you can only find the concrete piece in the Hellfire scenario. So let's test the concrete piece out. Alright, well, the only thing I really have to say about the concrete piece is it's a much more denser object than any of the throwing weapons I've covered so far. Now's a good time to tell you, the order I'm going about these throwing weapons is order of damage. So this concrete piece, according to the statistics, will do more damage than the bent iron pipe. So let's find out how much more damage. Something I should say right now. I know for a fact that there is no damage difference between a zombie standing erect and laying on the ground. So, after this zombie is floored, I'm going to continue attacking him. So here we go. Alright, so 8 concrete pieces to take down a zombie. Alright, yet again, there's not enough concrete pieces to defeat a single zombie in the entire game. So, that concludes the concrete piece. Alright, we are now on the more explosive type of throwing weapons. And the first one I'm going to cover is pretty interesting. If you remember in Resident Evil 0, we got a brand new weapon called a Molotov Cocktail. In real life, that's an actual weapon. In Outbreak, and Outbreak File 2, You can create a Molotov cocktail by taking 3 items. First, you need an alcohol bottle, a bottle with a flammable alcohol in it. That's pretty much a hint that it could be used for something. A lighter, obviously to light it up, and a newspaper, or in this game it's called Raccoon Today. Now first, you combine the newspaper with the bottle. And now it's a bottle containing alcohol. Paper has been stuffed in it. And then finally, use the lighter to light it up. And now you got a Molotov cocktail. A weapon which scatters fire when it is thrown. So yeah, this is the only weapon in Outbreak File 1 anyway that any character can create by combining separate items, not just David. Alright, so let's test the Molotov cocktail out. Ooh. Alright, so as the Molotov cocktail should, it produces flame upon impact. This is pretty much the incendiary grenade of Resident Evil Outbreak. Now let's test the Molotov cocktail on a zombie. Hopefully it's more than one, so it's a proper test. Alright, well... it only took 1 Molotov cocktail to defeat a zombie, in normal mode at least. It might take more than one in hard or very hard mode. There's no other enemy to test this on except one of those cockroach things, but that's in hard mode, so I'm not really feeling up to it. Okay, the point is, the Molotov cocktail is a much more powerful weapon than all of the previous throwing weapons I've covered so far. I guess that's to be expected since you have to go through some searching to create one. This is the first throwing weapon I've covered so far that can be used to kill zombies. Alright, that is it for the Molotov cocktail. Alright, now for the next throwing weapon, which is the first of 3 kinds of bodily throwing weapons. The chemical bottle solvent, or green chemical bottle. It contains a special chemical solvent. Jeez. Okay, so this chemical bottle you can only get in Outbreak File 2. And only in one scenario as well, the flashback scenario. So what you have to do is you acquire these empty chemical bottles, and then you have to use a syringe on one of the 3 main tentacle vines to gain access to the pharmacy, to where there's a machine you could use to fill these empty chemical bottles with the solvent. You could also refill syringes needed to destroy those plants. So yeah, so here's the green chemical bottle. Let's test it out. Alright, so upon impact, the green chemical bottle spews this green solvent liquid. Now, since it can only be used in this scenario, there's a limited amount of enemies I could test this on. I'm still gonna test it on a zombie, but the zombies in this scenario are unique compared to all the rest of the scenarios. I guess they're referred to as green zombies. It's like they become one with Mother Nature. They, like, have flowers sprouting from their heads. It's freaking gross. They're kind of more dangerous than regular zombies because they spew poison if you hit them. But these green chemical bottles, I believe, are specifically made for them, as well as plants and possibly even that Axeman boss. Actually very useful against him if he ever annoys you. That's what I heard anyway. So let's test the green chemical bottle on a green zombie. So it takes 1 green chemical bottle to defeat a green zombie, which I guess is understandable because they're designed specifically to take them down. Well, any conventional weapons, you risk getting poisoned. So it's pretty much all I need to say about the green chemical bottle since it's exclusive to this scenario. Alright, that is it for the green chemical bottle. Alright, now for another colored chemical bottle. The yellow chemical bottle. It contains a yellow chemical. This one contains what seems to be acidic substance. See for yourself. Let's test it out. Alright, so like I said, it seems acidic. It's pretty much a handheld acid round grenade launcher. Alright, let's test the yellow chemical bottle on a zombie. Alright, so 2 yellow chemical bottles to take down a zombie. So, zombies are appropriate enemies for the yellow chemical bottles. Alright, I forgot to mention that these chemical bottles can only be found in below freezing point in Outbreak 1. But anyway, they are appropriate for zombies. Other enemies, at least in this game, I wouldn't think so. There's only really one other non-boss enemy in below freezing point, and that's a hunter. But there is a better weapon for them, and I am about to get to it. That is it for the yellow chemical bottle. Alright, now for the final throwing weapon. The gray chemical bottle. It contains a gray chemical. What differentiates this from the yellow and the green, this one is a more explosive type instead of a splatter. So let's test it out. Alright, so I know for a fact that since it's a more explosive type, it's gonna deal a little more damage than the previous 2 bottles. After looking at both the damage charts for Outbreak 1 and Outbreak 2, it's possible that the weapons may have very slightly different damage rates between the games. Either that, or the guy who created those FAQs doesn't know what he's talking about. Because he says in Outbreak 1, the gray chemical bottle does 600 damage, while in Outbreak 2 it only does 500. So, not sure exactly that's a real significant difference, although the yellow chemical bottle does 500, and that took more than 1. While in this one, I did a pre-test, and the gray chemical bottle defeats a zombie in 1 hit. In normal mode, at least. But anyway, because of that, I'm not going to test the gray chemical bottle on a zombie. Instead, I think I'm going to test it on a hunter. Now, I could test it on a hunter in this scenario where I'm in right now, but I would have to go through more than halfway of the scenario just to get to that point. So, I found out that in Outbreak File 2, where I can get a gray chemical bottle, which is only in the end of the road scenario, there is also a hunter in that level, but in the beginning of the level. So, I am going to test the gray chemical bottle on a hunter in Outbreak File 2. So, here we go. Well, damn. Okay, so, even for a hunter, it's only gonna take 1 gray chemical bottle. That's quite a powerful weapon. Just remember though, this is normal mode. But the fact that only 1 can take down a hunter, then maybe in normal mode it's best if you save those gray chemical bottles for a boss. I don't know. I would have thought a hunter is much more powerful than a zombie, but apparently it's no match for the gray chemical bottle. Either that, or I have no idea what I'm talking about, and the hunter's vitality is not far off from a zombie's. In Resident Evil 1, that wasn't the case. Not even close. Well, there's really no other enemy I could test this on. Just know that the gray chemical bottle is quite a powerful weapon, and looks like it's the strongest throwing weapon in both games. Alright, so that is it for the gray chemical bottle, as well as all throwing melee weapons.